So, Imran, can you quickly introduce yourself, your background and stuff?
Yes, it's Councillor IMRAN, independent councillor from Huddersfield, West Yorkshire. And for parliamentary, I'm backing Andrew Cooper with the Green Party.
Yeah, I mean, you became. Can you tell me about your? Were you always independent?
Yes, so I'm kind of working with the independent group in Cllr, the Cllr Community Independence, but I've also got, when it comes to the national picture, I'm supporting the Green Party because of their very strong pro-Palestine and pro-NHS manifesto. I've been talking about Palestine for probably a couple of decades now, on and off, and I've tried engaging with both mainstream parties, Labour and Conservative, in the past, and I've left. I've stopped supporting either mainstream party quite a while ago because of internal party racism, as well as really hypocritical foreign policy problems regarding Palestine primarily, and lately concerns about U-turns on Kashmir. So yeah, argument. Not talking as a voter, as a councillor, I'm talking about as a political commentator. I've done that in the past as well. There is an argument to still back the socialist, Labour, pro-Palestine, Friends of Palestine candidates. There's not many of them, probably only a couple of handful. But essentially I agree with Owen Jones completely. What we need in Parliament is a large block of Green, independent, pro-Palestine Lib Dem, as well as SNP, and maybe a few Socialist Labour MPs, as a block, speaking about ethical foreign policy, speaking about climate change, talking about austerity, talking about nationalisation of key industries, and obviously talking about other key matters like Kashmir, Sudan, and boycotts and sanctions, because we're only going to see justice home and abroad when we go in a progressive left-wing direction, but also a left-wing direction that is respectful to our every religious minority and cultural and religious sensitivities.
Yeah, just a quick question. When did you leave Labour?
Oh, in my heart, I kind of left in December. But obviously, and obviously Brother Vashabir, yourself, and many others in my family, and my dear wife also had these conversations with me. And my daughter, mashallah, 22-year-old, mashallah, she and these conversations were taking place on a regular basis.
Yeah. What prompted you? What prompted you?
Well, well, for example, we were told we were written to by head office, and in a way told not to attend any protests or marches. That was the beginning of the end for me.
Yeah.
And then when we wrote to Sir Keir Starmer, calling him out essentially for the awful Nick Ferrari infamous, Israel as the right, essentially awful video, awful kind of simple tone, call it what you will. That was the first nail in the coffin, and the nails in the coffin carried on going. I was pushed and pushed further out, and it's so disheartening because the majority of Labour members, the socialist Labour members, who are gradually leaving, they're generally quite pro-Palestine.
Yeah,
they're very pro-Palestine. Pro-environmentalist. They're not fans of big oil and the military-industrial complex. They're pro-peace. Most of them want a two-state solution. They are generally, on the side of human rights and international humanitarian law. And a lot of Labour members are disheartened. And many have left, or many will not engage. And because, not only because of the appalling policy in Palestine and Kashmir, but also because the party seemed to be veering more and more to the right wing, almost going for, I could be wrong here, but they're almost going for reform voters and hard right Brexit Tory voters. Because one of the elephants in the room domestically, so internationally, the elephant in the room is hypocrisy over Palestine. So calling for sanctions against Russia is the right thing to do. Undoubtedly, because Russia, despite propaganda from some of the far left, some of the far right, Um, Russia isn't a utopia. Putin is a dictator, and he's also been guilty of breaches of international humanitarian law and the Geneva Convention. It's appalling what's happened in Ukraine. Okay, I've got reservations about the Ukrainian government. Okay, however, what's happened against Ukrainian civilians is appalling. It's a war crime, undoubtedly. Independent human rights organizations have stated this again and again. So what's happening in Ukraine is appalling. What's happening in Sudan is appalling. You know, the Iranian regime, also the Syrian regime, are behaving in a disgraceful manner. So if we're going to call out these regimes, and rightly so, then we must also apply some divestment when it comes to the Israeli hard right government. And I sympathize greatly with the brave Israeli left-wing peace activists. You know, those who want a single secular democratic state for people of all backgrounds, or those who want a two-state solution almost. So that's really important.
Yes, your following of the Halifax local politics and then national politics. How long you've been viewing the Halifax politics so far?
I've got immense respect for my brothers and sisters in Halifax, mashallah. You know, you guys have fundraised a lot of money for the cause, mashallah, Mela. You know, and reward you all immeasurably, you know, for your remarkable charity work. And I've seen the protests, and there's a lot of passion over there in Halifax. Now, as an outsider, I can't, you know, endorse any one candidate. However, I mean, without sounding,
you know about the two candidates that they have, Parveen and Shaka.
Yeah, I am aware, and I'm not. I know I don't want to comment on them personally. You know, I don't know them personally, and I do respect their hard work ethic and their intentions. I have no doubt their intentions are honourable. However, I don't think the Workers' Party is here for long. Okay, it's a controversial movement, and there are some in the upper echelons of the Workers' Party that, for me, sadly, they don't. Yeah, okay, they may be strong on Palestine, but when it comes to, they don't have a fully costed manifesto. First and foremost, and they aren't. For me, they aren't able to unite workers from different parties like the Green Party can. The Green Party not only have an intelligent middle class, working class, indigenous white vote bank. Not only have they got excellent councillors and they're involved in administration across the country, not only do they have an excellent presence in Scotland, but they are running, they are doing tremendous work in wards up and down the country. Okay, doing great work here in Huddersfield in the Newsham ward, and my new ward colleague Alex Vickers, a remarkable councillor, has hit the ground running, started doing casework already. I mean, they've got a great presence in Brighton. They've got some decent members of the London Assembly. We've got multiple Scottish MSPs. They're involved in running. They do a great job in Sheffield. Excellent feedback from the Green Council in Sheffield. And they are, without doubt, for me, they're mainstream, but they're also quite radical and forward thinking. Because not only is their Palestine policy extremely strong, not only do they call for boycotts, sanctions, and divestment, they're also calling for the arrest of certain people within the Israeli far-right government for war crimes. They're fully behind the ICJ ruling, and for many, many years now, they have talked about justice for the Palestinians. They've talked about challenging the apartheid regime in Israel.
I'm really surprised because you're independent and now you're endorsing Green. What's the reason for that?
Because what is that? Look, for me, okay, in some towns, the independent movement may have longevity. In this location where I am, sadly, I wish my independent colleague well, but for me, I've got family and friends, and there's a brilliant organisation called Huddersfield Community Action Group. My wife, my daughter, my cousins, my sister-in-laws, my friends, my neighbours, my ustad, my brothers, people I've lived with, people who are white, Christian, Jewish, different backgrounds, uniting behind the green cause. You know why? Because challenging climate change is possibly, for me, the second most important challenge.
Yeah.
You know, the most important challenge for me right now is the Palestine Kashmir. Both of them struggles are linked. I'm sure you'll agree with me.
Yes.
Those self-determination struggles are linked. So that for me the most important challenge right now. Then comes climate change. Then comes especially children, tackling child poverty, Brexit, the other pressing issues of the day. But in a bizarre way, these foreign imperialist oil-based conflicts, right, and our cost of living crisis, they're linked. Now that may not sound logical to say that, but because of our foreign policy, because we're propping up regimes who are undemocratic, who don't have the interest, I feel don't have the best interests of the world at heart, who will continue burning fossil fuels and cause damage to the environment. And remember that damage to the environment, we saw how awful those Pakistan floods were. That was primarily due to climate change. So climate change is real, it's undeniable, okay? It's taking place, and snow caps are melting, snows are melting, and the water has to go somewhere.
Yes.
And when you've got rising water levels and you've got problems with the jet stream and the current stream and major oceanic and geological and geographical issues across the world, that's going to lead to more worrying climate change, global warming, severe weather issues. Okay, and that's a major challenge for the future. And continue to burn fossil fuels, continue to damage the planet that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, the resource we've been given us. For me, not only is it immoral, unethical, it's also un-Islamic. Because look, I'm not a scholar, but brother, I think you told me that, mashallah, when you're on a struggle, on jihad, so to speak, because jihad can be many things, it's a struggle within, isn't it? It's battling addictions, battling fatty foods, stopping smoking, stopping alcohol. Jihad comes in many ways, yeah. And let's say you're on jihad, you're on a sadaqah mission, a zakat mission, a delivery mission. You're going to fight a liberation struggle, whatever it is, okay. Free captives, whatever it is. You're not allowed to damage the environment.
Yes.
You're not allowed to chop down a tree without very, very good cause. Because if Allah forgive me if I'm wrong, but that's actually from the scriptures.
Yeah.
So we are damaging our forests, our environment, and we are poisoning the atmosphere by burning coal or fossil fuels consistently.
Yeah. So okay, Imran.
Yeah. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us solar panels and wind power and the intelligence, the major scientific, so much knowledge was in the Muslim world. Some of the first universities were created by Muslim sisters hundreds of years ago. The knowledge, algebra would not exist. The formulas and algorithms used to create sustainable technologies and the green revolution, it stems originally from the scientific revolution, which again stemmed from Islamic University. So we've been given knowledge and guidance on sustainable development, on correct ways to harness energy from Allah's great creation. The sun is there, the wind is there, and because we are hooked on fossil fuels and oil, it's creating more wars. Why did so many people die in Iraq?
Yeah, because of oil.
The second Gulf War, because of oil. Bismillah, there you go.
So this Gaza war is basically happening because of the benefit.
Now that's one theory. That's one theory. Yeah, there is talk. Now again, I'm not an analyst. I'm not. There are some journalists claiming that the occupation Israeli regime want certain proposed, certain alleged talk of gas fields being exploited.
Not only the Israeli regimes. I mean, I think Sunuk's father-in-law's company, Infosys, they've engaged in some sort of contracts to extract oil. Yeah, in Gaza. Yeah, so
and that now I can't confirm or deny that, but these are worrying allegations and they need to be investigated fully.
Yes.
by independent bodies, and
Yeah, I
I
mean,
call on Friends of the
it's
Earth
in
and
the newspaper
Greenpeace,
and so forth.
yeah, to investigate that. That needs investigating by reputable organisations like Greenpeace and Friends of the Earth, because if that is indeed taking place, that goes against the very ethos of net zero. We should not. We should now be coming away from oil and
I'm
gas.
not saying. I just read it in the newspapers and the
Yeah,
information that's available on.
I mean, wherever oil fields are, whichever regime is involved, it's wrong,
Yes,
because we need to be trying to. We need to embrace. We need to get net zero quickly.
yes,
Yeah, and that green revolution, creating a larger home insulation industry, creating subsidized solar panels and wind farms and windmills and heat pumps. It's going to save our elders from every community, especially our BME community, a fortune, because this addiction to energy and foreign wars
yeah.
and backing dangerous regimes across the world, whether it be Saudi Arabia, Israeli regime, UAE regime.
Well,
It's creating this addiction to fossil fuels. It's not only creating foreign policy issues, but also the cost of heating our homes, fueling our vehicles,
Imran, I like the
is
way
exorbitant.
I like the statement addiction to energy, fossil fuel. That is a
Yeah.
quote and a half.
So we're addicted. Not only are we addicted to interest and haram,
Yeah,
yeah. Not only are we addicted to awful practices, yeah. And I'm guilty of a lot of this. I'm guilty of a lot of myself. I'm talking to myself. First of all, I'm talking to you, me. I'm not lecturing anyone. I've sinned. I sin by day. I sin by night. I'm no role model. I'm not standing for parliament because I've got to work on myself. There's a lot of self-development to be done by myself. Because we are so heavily involved with big oil, the military-industrial complex, and political parties that are run by essentially billionaire donors and media moguls, or heavily influenced by that move towards social justice and ethical foreign policy, and a more sustainable and environmentally friendly and people friendly energy policy. Sadly, these are dreams, and this is why I am advocating backing green friendly independent candidates, independent socialists, progressives, and where possible the Green Party. So I like I said, comes back to my earlier agreement with what Owen Jones is saying.
okay.
He's backing certain socialists, independents in some constituencies, but generally he's backing the Greens, and I agree with the We Deserve Better movement.
Why would you advise someone to vote for Greens over let's say independent or Workers' Party or any other parties? For as a Muslim, how would you advise him? Obviously, you mentioned about climate change and so forth. What the issue of Palestine?
Well, look. I've got a huge admiration for the Green Party, because the Muslim Green Organization is actually united against anti-Semitism and Islamophobia, and together, we oppose any efforts to exploit the ongoing tragedy in the Israel-Palestine conflict to foster division. And we don't want to see any intensification of anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, or any other forms of racism. Yeah. So, the Green Party, they reject racism, misinformation, hate speech. Okay, and they reject right-wing media narratives. Yep. And we want to work with people of all backgrounds towards peace in the Holy Land, and as a result, the Green Party have got some very, very, very progressive policies. Like, for example, they are the first mainstream party calling for a full bilateral immediate ceasefire. For me, they're the first mainstream party calling for the release of all hostages and Palestinian hostages, as some call them, prisoners, held without charge. And they are talking about the cessation of all military collaboration with Israel, including the use of British bases by Israeli forces. And they're talking about stopping intelligence sharing. So, and also they're talking about stopping weapon sales to Israel, at least in the short term, as well as boycott, sanctions, and divestments against individuals and institutions supporting Israel's occupation of Palestine. They're also going further, okay, when it comes to asking the Director of Public Prosecutions, right, to investigate if war crimes have been committed against UK citizens and by UK citizens in the Holy Land, in occupied Palestine. We're asking for an end of the Green Party, and this is why I'm not only donating to the Green Party, but I'm voting for the Green Party and supporting my friends in the Green Party, even though I'm technically independent right now. I have huge admiration for their persistent, long-term calls of an end of an occupation in the Palestinian occupied territories. And they're asking the UK government to return to international law. Okay, return to defending international law and respect the ICJ, ICC rulings. And obviously, this is what I'm also impressed about, is that the UK government, that the Green Party is calling on the UK government to use its position as a permanent member of the UN Security Council to vote for solutions rather than abstaining. Okay, and again, they're asking for a suspension of all arms export licenses to Israel, at least until this awful occupation and violence stops. Now, my friend Andrew Cooper, he was key in getting this Gaza motion based on these pledges to Kirtley's council. Even if every council in the country adopted these measures, it won't solve the problem of the occupation, but it'd be a first step. Now, this country claims to be friends with Israel. You have to rein your friends in. Okay? Once upon a time, we were friends with Russia, and now we are sanctioning Russia, and rightly so. It's about time now that we support a party that is going to be consistent when it comes to defending international humanitarian law. A plausible genocide is taking place. Ethnic cleansing is taking place. And for me, okay, yes, there are certain friends in the independent movement that are very strong on Palestine. And, I salute them and commend them. But for me, the only mainstream national party with 1,000 members across every county is the Green Party. And for me, that's why I'm voting for the Green Party on July the 4th. And I encourage everyone, where they have a credible Green Party candidate who has a chance of beating Labour or Conservatives, to lend them your support. You may not agree with every policy, but on July the 4th, I ask you to vote for change, vote for a better environment, vote for a better future, vote for our friends in the Green Party.
Yeah, there's about 3 councillors and under, I think, 3 votes. I think the 3 councillors, the Green councillors. Now, combined with the votes that we'll get from the Muslim community or Park votes with the Green candidates that are there, I think tactically, if the community votes for Green, then they've got a good chance of.
That's exactly what we thought in Huddersfield. Exactly what's up in Huddersfield. So many elders in the community, right, have come on board.
Yes. Is what you call tactical voting. So the situation in Halifax is this: we've got Workers' Party, which is basically in the verge of collapse. It's no good in Halifax. Then we've got the Independent, which is just thrown the hat in there, which is, I personally think, is there's no reasons for her to come in. I can't see any reasons, because it's a losing seat, and she just wants. I personally think that there is. She just wants to create a fuss and maybe just do this for her own egos and just to get recognized in the Muslim community, because she's not known. Parveen is not known in the Muslim community. But I personally think, that if you really want to oust out Labour, and that's our reality here, there's no way that any of the parties will win, but there's a competition between Labour and Conservative. But if you really want to, beat Labour out of Halifax, then I personally think it's best to vote for parties that's already there. They've got a existing vote base. They've got existing councillors, 3 councillors, and that's Greens. Yeah, and
absolutely, and they've been right on the Palestine issue for many years. So why not reward their hard work?
And plus,
I wish
plus the demographics or people to decide who they want,
Yes.
whether they want to labor in power and then be slaves to the labor who have committed, who've said nothing about the genocide, or they've not even voted for ceasefire. They've been silent on these key issues. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
now, right now, they're
Let
calling
me
for a
just
ceasefire.
finish the point.
Yeah.
Being
Yeah.
silent on these issues,
Too little, too late.
and
Yeah.
it's too little, too late. And now
Too little, too late.
a lot of there's about 758 people that voted for Labour, yeah, within our community. Now these 750 people, yeah, what do they really want? Do they want? They don't want to. Do they want Labour to get back in power again and be slave to Labour, or do they want to take Labour out from here and and just show them that that Labour, the people of Halifax, will not be silent on the genocide that they were part of. Yeah, and it's up to the people what they want actually, and we know who those 750 people are. And not only that, there's organizations such as the Sunni Center that are heavily supporting Labour, and then there's people like who have influence in society, like Faisal Shaukat, and he's not even he's the ex-councillor, by the way, for been councillor for 10 years, and then he left for personal reasons and so forth, and he's not making a stance whatsoever. I personally believe that he's leaving the back doors open for himself. That's why he's not openly criticizing the Labour Party like you have done and Anwar have done. Give us an overview of what Anwar did. I mean, I've seen a lot of his videos. Um,
Yeah, very, very, very caring brother,
yeah, I mean, in
mashallah,
terms of Labour,
And
how did he speak out against
yeah,
Labour? Because he's part of your
from the very, from very early on, he was trying to challenge from
yeah,
within. And the reason why a few of us stayed just after October, we were trying to influence from within. We wrote to the likes of Starmer, head office, David Evans, consistently again and again and again. We were ignored. We felt marginalised, and our concerns were not taken seriously. And look how many months, look how long after 14,000 dead children, only then did they call for a ceasefire. But to this day, they have still not ruled out a ban in weapon sales
yeah.
to
I
the
mean,
Israeli
this calling
far-right
out ceasefire
regime.
is political. Yeah, because
Yeah.
be-
No. So, okay, ceasefire, that's the minimum. That was the minimum you should
yeah,
have done. Minimum you should have done in
yeah,
November. Minimum.
yeah,
Yeah. But still supplying weapons to a nation illegally occupying Palestine is
yeah.
unacceptable.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's it. But so my battery's just about to
Yeah.
run out, unfortunately. So,
Just a final
but
point about Amr Anwar, because I've seen his videos. He was part of Labour.
lovely guy, mashallah,
He was
lovely
part of
brother,
Labour,
mashallah.
but what I gather from him,
We know a lot of us were, a lot of us thought we could change from
yes,
within, but sadly it didn't work
yes.
out, did
I
it?
mean, with Amr, what he
You know,
did was when he left, he went up and down the country. People invited him.
Mm.
Yeah,
Bro, I wish I left with him. I wish I left with
yeah,
him. I wish I left at the same
yeah.
time
But you
as
didn't
him.
leave that far. I mean, he left in January. You left in, I think, February. I think it was. Yeah,
Yeah. And obviously, I'm not sure you saw the video, but I was the first one to hug him.
yeah.
And I mean, rather than
Yeah,
last five in the video, and
yeah.
he broke down, mashallah. Now,
Amr Anwar, yeah. So when he left, he went up and down the country, invited obviously, and he basically called out for Keir Starmer's resignation as independent.
yes, and that's what pro-Palestinian Labour people should be
Yeah,
doing right
and
now. If you care for Palestine, you should be calling for Starmer to resign or step
yes,
down. But it's sadly not going to happen now. Unfortunately, I do fear that Starmer's going to become the prime minister. But this is why we need a block of independent and Green and Lib Dem and SNP MPs to hold Starmer's potential government to
yes,
account.
definitely. Yeah,
So.
yeah. Okay, Imran, Jazak.
But lovely to speak to you, inshallah. But
We'll come and see you.
you know,
We'll come and see.
all the candidates, I wish them all the
Yeah,
best personally. But my view is, I think you should all go green. That's my view.
Jazakallah
Inshallah.
khair for your information.
Okay.
And just let me switch
Okay.
this off.
But
Jazakallah.